Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Behind Closed Doors with myself. My guests tonight are the lovely Sue Lorraine Peake and the fantastic Sandy Smith from Quarriers. I'm trying to get another guest on who hopefully we can get his story tonight. Sandy, did you get that number?
Yes.
Is there any way that you can phone and give Azir that number? 98.
I've only got him on Facebook, but I'll pass it on to him.
Right, just ask him once he goes into Zoom to copy the link into that to try and come on, but we'll have to talk amongst ourselves until he comes on, and then we'll go from there.
No bother.
How are you, Sue?
Yeah, I'm not too bad actually.
You go to Scotland soon?
Yes, on Friday, and I can't wait.
Yeah, we'll see the lovely Sandy, and I shall be there the following week.
Yep.
Yeah, and with
And,
everyone else.
We'll be going to the demo on the 26th,
Yeah,
and then we'll be doing the memorial service on the 27th.
yeah.
So that's all good stuff, and Sandy can tell us a little bit more about it, and when we bring him in.
Yeah. Sandy, go offline a minute and ring him.
I've not got a phone number, that's what I'm saying.
Ring him on Messenger.
You stay online, I'll ring him.
Right,
There you go, Alan. He's coming into the waiting room now, so do you want to let him in, Alan?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to look for him. Where is he? Oh, yeah, I've got him.
Right,
I've got him.
Listen out for that little beep when people join.
All right.
He's joining now.
Oh, bro.
Hi, Zia. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
He's connecting, Alan.
It's just connecting in now, Alan.
Oh, mate.
He's so impatient, Sandy.
Shush, you behave yourself. You're on the final.
I always do.
You're on the final warning, you.
Oh dear. Do you know what, Sandy? I'm not going to do it because I'll get told off. And you do it so that I can't. Hi, Azza.
Hi,
All right, get your mask on.
Right.
you all right?
Yeah, we're fine.
Hey, Sandy.
Okay, guys, let me just introduce you to Azir. Azir is a friend of Sandy's, and you know, Sue, you know Azir, don't you?
Azza, yeah.
Azza, sorry, Azza, you know Azza. What we're going to do is have a little introduce Azir to Wake Up UK, and Azir can tell his story.
Yeah.
Azza, and can tell his story, and let us know a little bit about yourself, Azza, where you come from, what happened to you, how you went into the system, and have a free reign. If you feel like it gets a bit too much, you can come off, and you can have a little bit of a break, and we'll have a little chat amongst ourselves. If it's getting too much for you at any one stage, but it's your chance to tell your story tonight. And so with that, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is I'm 31 from Preston, Lancashire. I was taken from my mother at the age of 16 due to her being sexually abused by her own father and brother-in-law, and for the fact that she could not look after me when she was took from her family home at the age of 16 and put into a mother and baby unit. They apparently give her chance after chance to try and look after me, but apparently the system failed and they decided to put me up into the adoption. I actually never met my real mother. I've just heard stories and been told the stories of what was written to my adoptive parents about my real mother and what she suffered. And then as the years have gone on, I've been trying to trace this lady to try and get answers because I don't know what happened to me while I was in her care. I don't know my real father. I've never had any sort of closure for my thing. And then as I grew up and the last 3 years, I've started to wake up to a lot of the problems that I've seen going on around abuse and it not getting enough awareness out there, to which then pushed me into actually thinking, how can I make things a little bit better for myself, maybe a bit better for other children out there, to which is when I decided I was going to become a decoy for an online paedophile hunting team so that I can I feel like I'm doing part of my job as a person to stop anybody else from going through anything like the things that have gone on in the past for other people, and to just at least save a few hundred or a few thousand children if I can. I just want everything to be, I just want the awareness out there. I want people to understand that they're never alone and that it's not, I know it's hard to talk out about these things, but
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
please reach out to somebody. Please realize none of you are ever alone. And if anybody needs me, just get hold of Sandy or Sue and they can point you in the direction of how to contact myself or Alan.
You're doing brilliant. You're doing brilliant. You're doing absolutely brilliant. You're very
Also,
you're strong. You know, you're very strong. I can feel it.
also back in 2015, I was seriously assaulted by people I thought were my friends on a made up story that they had made up about me. And they took me onto a golf course and kicked 10 shades of hell out of me.
Say it.
And then 10 shades just shit out me, basically. They then carried me back to the property where I was staying with 3 of these lads that had been involved in the attack that night, because they knew I was going off to the job centre the next morning to go and obviously sign on. To which then I've then gone out the next morning when they've unlocked the door and let me back out of the flat, and I've ended up having collapsing outside one of my other friends' houses, to which she has then rang the ambulance and the police. And then since then, I've then apparently, from somebody that was there that night after they'd, because they've all served the jail sentence of 6 months for near enough killing me. They got 6 months for near enough killing somebody.
Not good enough.
No, and of course, as we all know, the justice system's corrupt anyway out there. You just got to look into other cases like the whole Josh George Harry situation for Tracy and things, and you just know.
Yeah, well said, mate.
And I just want to be part of the movement now that is trying to stop everything bad that's going on in the world and stop this vile, disgusting behaviors of people, and just try and do as much as we all can to support and help one another. All I ask is, if you can as well, when you're seeing these demonstration posters going up and stuff, it's all good and well, you're all sitting behind your computer screens with the hashtags for this. No, come on, wake up, realize, get your feet on the ground. We need as many people on the ground at these demonstrations as possible, because that is the only way people are going to let our voices be heard. And eventually, when everybody wakes up and rises up to this, the higher elite powers that are trying to silence us still with this whole let's have a second lockdown of coronavirus rubbish as well, is like, it's funny how the second lockdown all of a sudden, the rises in that case went up after the fact that we'd been turned away from the BBC on that demonstration in London not long ago.
Yeah, very, very true.
And to me, it's just I
Nonsense.
think everyone needs to get up and get out there because, yeah, fair enough, hashtagging it's getting us recognised, some recognitions now on social media, and we're getting recognised and things are starting to pick up. But still, we've got to force the issue because otherwise it's just still just going to be like, oh, yeah, it's just right-wing idiots trying to cause a bit of an argument for us.
I hate that narrative when they turn around and use the term.
Yeah, I hate that as well. But as we all know, they're used to using that with us because it gives everybody else that doesn't like what we're doing the right to have an argument with us then. But
What gives the likes of, if I can come in a minute, Ath, what gives the likes of the BBC, whose track record for paedophilia, and the likes of your Jimmy Saviles, your Stuart Halls, your Gary Glitters, and the many, many more that are rife on the BBC, and the Esther Ranstons knew it was going on, and all them people, and even Johnny Rotten spoke about it in the 70s, and never ever went on the BBC again. And that's how like mainstream media kind of like cover all this rubbish up and cover it up, and why it's not told. I mean, how Jimmy Savile could do what he did and have the keys to so many institutions where he was free to go along and do whatever he seemed to do, and even have sex with dead bodies is sickening, absolutely sickening.
disgusting.
And for people not to take any notice of it, it's like John Wedger. We worked with John for a few years now, and John says if you say nothing, nothing gets done. And we need to get out there. We need a platform. We need to speak out, and we need to turn around and tell people. And I often break down when I tell my story because it takes you back to that place, and you become that little boy again. And I don't know if that makes sense, but you know, when I'm telling my story, I go back in time, and them memories, horrible as they were, come back to me.
Yeah, see, I can't, you get upset, I can't get upset anymore. You know, I've done all my crying in the past. My crying, if I do any crying, it is for my grandchildren and for the children that are still suffering. I will cry for them, but I can't cry for myself anymore. You know,
Well, having said that, Sue, you cried at Nottingham when I spoke.
yeah, because you spoke about me and I'd never actually heard it like that. And you was crying, which did upset me, you know, but I mean, I've never cried over me.
No, you are very,
For a
very
long
strong. You
time.
come across as always come to me. You've always come across as a very strong person.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does come across strong-willed.
And you know how you could let people manipulate you into the way that things have happened. I'll never know, because to me, I've always seen you as a strong person. I mean, Carl, your memory from when we were in Beechholme is phenomenal. And I've always said that how you can remember me wearing my shirt collars up, I'll never know, because nobody knew that. Nobody knew that I thought I was Elvis. Walk around with my shirt collars up, and for you to remember that, it's incredible.
Yeah.
That is an amazing memory.
But you just, you know, I just feel, to me, I've got through all this and I survived. And I survived for a reason, and that was to do what we're doing now. You know, my crime, nothing can change what happened to me. You know, but we can change it for the children of today and tomorrow.
But having said that, Sue, the reason why we do it is to try and stop whatever happened to us from happening to children in the future. What happened to us should never have happened in the first place.
No, it shouldn't. But it did, and we've got to work from that.
If
And
Sandy,
this is
if
what
you feel
we're
like you
doing.
want to come in as well, you can join in with the chat. And as if you want to say something, just put your hand up, or anybody wants to come in, just put your hand up. I'll see you.
Yeah, that's cool.
We're going to just put your hand up if you want to come in, and if you want to come in there, Sandy, feel free and join in with the group.
Yeah, definitely come in here, Sandy, and talk to us, because
Go on, Sandy. You can
you're
have some.
as
Have a little bit.
every weekend I've been stood with you for the past few weeks, Sandy, you and Jane, and listening to your stories has been emotional, to say the least. And you are just such an amazing, strong two people. Yous are just absolutely amazing. Everything you do for us, you're always making sure that we're okay, when really it should be us looking after you two now. We're the younger generation now, Sandy, so you should be let us try and do a lot more to help you and Jane out and get your message out there. And as for the Beechholme, Beechholme and Quarriers care homes, I'm just putting it out there that yous lot need to be held accountable for what you allowed to happen while them people were in your care, because that is disgusting. And every single one of you is going to be brought to justice. I'm going to make sure of it.
Oh yes, I might.
Yeah, we are.
Sandy wants to come in. Let Sandy just come in. Sandy, you're muted at the moment, so just take your mute off. That's it.
Yeah, well, I met Azza. It was through two young girls, and they're amazing. Az can tell you more about them in a minute. But I met Az through these two young girls. And what these two young girls and Az do up here in Scotland, my God, it's amazing. Now, Jane and I, we were talking one night, and it goes, what happens after, like our generation, we pass on? Will the young generation get involved? Will it just dry up? Because we had a rally a couple of weeks ago in Glasgow. That's where I met Az for the first time. And Saturday there, we were in Glasgow again. And Az told his story for the first time. This is the second time he's ever sort of done a live thing. For a young boy and for two young girls, they are a full credit, and I give them my hand and heart. What they do is amazing. And the answer, Jane and I, our question, yes, the young will be there after us, fighting. God bless you for that, brother. I lost a son through greed. I don't want to go too much into it, but I spent time in hospital and my son sold me out. And I've got a new son in my life up here in the corner there. He's a brilliant lad, absolutely brilliant. I love him with my heart and more. And Saturday in Glasgow, now I've been many conferences, many rallies, I've spoken a lot, I've organised a lot, but never in my life did I see anything like Glasgow was on Saturday. Every single brave warrior that was there. My God, the stories, Alan, was horrific. There were one woman, come on, and I swear and I give my word, I am helping this woman. Now, I was talking to her, I've asked to meet with her. I'm not giving her name, I would not do that. But people will know who I'm talking about. This woman come up and she'd been locked in her house for a long, long time, terrified to go out. And crud, almighty, it really, bang, it hit you hard. I mean, this thing put you in your backside. And I never seen a woman crying like that. I only seen a woman crying like that once before, and that was my adopted sister Rosemary telling me about her abuse in Quarriers. But this brave, brave woman come up and she spoke about her son. Her son went missing and he was found dead in a wood. This is hard for me, believe me. He was found dead.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
I'll get to the punchline. His eyes, stuff all missing. Police went into the wood and put a rope round him and dragged him with a rope out the wood with people watching on. That, by Christ, that was it. Wow. Just the way she tells that story, it's unbelievable. And she's still trying to get justice. She's still trying to get justice. She's not getting it. But my darling, I swear, I'll fight tooth and nail for the woman.
Was that the girl with the black hair, Sandy?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Honest, that is. I knew abuse, corruption was bad in Scotland. And I vow you've spoke about it many times. And Saturday, I just discovered for the first time how corrupt, oh my God, the stories I heard. There were a young girl there, again, no names. She only spoke for a short while, and she had a baseball cap on. And she broke down. As soon as she got the mic to smoke, she broke down. And she was telling us about her abuse, what happened to her. Sexual abuse, the lot. She was a beautiful, beautiful girl. Absolutely beautiful. And she took
Take your time, take your time, take your time.
she took the baseball cap off. And she had her hair all shaved in. And she goes, I done this so nobody would find me attractive.
Mhm.
This is the things that's happening in our country today with abuse. It's unbelievable. I thought England was bad.
I'm surprised, Sandy, that there's not more said about Scotland. There's not more done about Scotland because it's strange, to be truthful.
No.
I didn't really know about Beechwood and the Melanie Shaw stuff. I didn't know too much about Hope Le Gren, Kencor, Shirley Oaks, and stuff like that until I started looking into it even more. And ICSA, where they're doing a lot of work on this Shirley Oaks at the moment, and SOSA are involved in that. And a lot of the stuff they're saying, and when Jane said about the carbolic soap, and you was talking about the carbolic soap, I thought, well, it's not just happening in England, it's happening in Scotland as well. Because when I was saying they put carbolic soap in my mouth and in my eyes, and they scrub me with floor scrubbing brushes. And then a few months ago, when Jean was on and she was talking about it, she said exactly the same they did to her in the 50s with this industrial carbolic soap.
It seemed,
You know,
it seemed to be that the orphanages away back in our time and all that, it was as if they were all linked. And do the same thing. Now, another thing is a few years ago, it was Shirley Oaks, and it was another show I was on, and we're doing an interview with one of them. Again, no names. And this fella, he asked me, did I hear, and I'm going to name names, I'm fed up hiding names, but this man's name was Holman. And he asked me, had I ever heard of this man Holman from Quarriers Orphan Homes? No, never heard of him. He goes, could you investigate it for us? I went, yeah, I'll do that. Well, there's 174 of us, Quarriers Warriors, and every one of us were all children of sexual abuse. So I get in contact. Nobody had heard him. One night, Jane says to me, she goes, what was that man's name you were asking about that night? I went, Holman. She goes, I've heard of him. I goes, how did you not say anything? She goes, I didn't know to just there just now. Listen, how what twigged that? She went, look, and on her records was this man's name. This man Holman that we know, he was involved with a lot of orphanages. There were one up in Dundee in Scotland where Jane was from. He was involved with Quarriers. There were a few others down south, no names. This man was involved with about 6 orphanages that we know of just now. And he was getting a wage off every orphanage, plus a commission for the children he was moving from orphanage to orphanage. Now, back then, Jane lived almost 100 miles away from Quarriers Orphan Homes. Jane, her sister, and her brother were moved from Dundee to Quarriers Orphan Homes. The place they were in Dundee got money because they had, I don't know how it went there, but they get this money anyway. But Quarriers Orphan Homes received money because they were accepting them. So they were all making money. Plus Holman got his wage plus a commission for his sales. So 3 children he moved. We don't know how much commission he was making off his children, but he was moving them and he was involved with all these orphanages. I've seen many, many adverts on television, many, up here in Scotland for Quarriers and Bernardo's. Folk thinks Bernardo's, Quarriers, the sun shines out her backside. No, it doesn't. Dr. Bernardo was actually jailed. He was put in jail for his corruption with children, sending them to Canada. He got jailed for that. He was actually jailed for that. Not many people know this, but he was jailed. Now, when we were younger, honestly, when I started first speaking out, I didn't know much about Quarrier. I knew William Quarrier was a shoemaker. He lived in the town of Greenock, in the west coast of Scotland. And he made good out his life. Then I started reading into it. And William Quarrier had a home in Glasgow, but he was looking for somewhere in the countryside. And there were a farm in Bridge of Weir called Nickings Hill Farm. And it was on the market for sale. And William Quarrier went there. He seen like land out in the country. It's beautiful down. You've got to see this down where I live. The countryside's beautiful. I would never leave here. And anyway, he went there and he decided this is where his new home would be built. Quarriers Orphan Home, Bridge of Weir, Scotland. Now, down where I live, in the village of Kilmacombe, is one of the richest villages in Scotland for millionaires, that in Bridge of Weir. There's a road in Kilmacombe, it goes through Kilmacombe, from Bridge of Weir to Kilmacombe, and they call it Millionaire's Paradise. Every house. Now, I showed Sue at one time when she was up along this road. And when you come along, I'll show you this. These mansion houses. Now, one of the houses in there get 32 rooms. And in the basement of this house, now I've been in it, and this is true, the basement of this house, they've got a cinema, they've got a cinema, a gym, and a large swimming pool. Right? This is the way these people live. They're the type of people, if they dropped a penny, they would be down that fast to pick that up, it would hit them in the head. And this is true, this is a lifestyle these people live. Now, William Quarrier got a lot of these people, and he had a meeting with them. He told them what he was doing with Quarriers, and he locked them in the room, and he wasn't letting them out till they made a donation. And I'm not just talking about £100 or £200. It went into thousands. Now, this is way back 1800s. Right? So you'll know the money I'm talking about now. And they all donated.
It's got a bit of history.
Oh, God. If you read the history, But William Quarrier wasn't doing this for children. He was not, and I want people to know this. Search, you'll find my words are they're not 100% true. Every word is true. He was a money maker. He wanted to be rich. He wanted to be known. He wanted to. He's just a glory hunter, as I would say. He wanted to be known. Look at me. I've got a beautiful lifestyle, but he was making that through innocent children. Through innocent children. And I see as what it's talking about. People in the street, people on television, as I say, people on the street, and I've got the can, shake them in your face, could you give Bernardo's attention? No, no, I would not. No, no, I know what they've done in the past, and that hurts. That really hurts. No,
Let's Az come back in for a little bit. Az, do you want to come in for a little bit more, mate, and tell us a little bit more?
if I can finish off here.
Hang on, I'll come back to you in a minute, Sandy.
Let
Let
Sandy
Az come in
finish.
and have a little bit of chat.
Let Sandy finish off first, Alan.
Yeah.
Go on, Sandy.
Cool.
Well, it's just to let you in here, is, and this Saturday, you've got a big event on in Glasgow, I hear. If you could tell us more about it, maybe we could convince Sue to come along.
Yeah,
And
I can
we'll
talk
talk
on
about
that.
it the following week.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy to go along. More than happy. I like
Yeah.
demo me. So,
There's
yeah, I'll be there.
there's a demo on Saturday that is coming starting at 1 o'clock from McClellan Arch in Glasgow, and we're marching through parts of Glasgow in a silent protest for the children, which has been organised by amazing people, and especially two amazing girls that have been involved in it as well, in LA Steele and Rachel, both amazing ladies that I've had the pleasure to meet, and they're like family to me now. And they're just two amazing young girls that started out only 2 weeks ago by deciding, right, enough is enough, we need to get out there, we need to do something, what can we do? And then since then they've started a group on Facebook as well called Fighting for Our Children, and within 2 weeks it's nearly hit 7.9k followers at the moment. I think we're on that page, and these girls are just making massive movements. They had the press, we had a journalist come and speak to the girl on Saturday just gone there about what we were all there for. So hopefully that's going to hit the local papers and wake a few more people, we're hoping.
But will it be, as coming back to that, and mainstream media and the media coverage that we would like more of? Will it's strange because I was watching the guys down and the Patriots down at Dover, and I think it was Big John Lawrence was doing. I was asked to do an interview with ITV. He said, "I'll do an interview as long as it's a true interview, and not something that you're going to redact and edit and just make me look stupid."
Yeah, that's true. It's whether they're going to make it and twist everything that was said, but hopefully not, because the journalist that she was speaking to seemed quite optimistic and quite proud of what we were doing. So hopefully she writes it in the right way. So because she was fully in support, she was fully in support of the movement. She was saying that it was absolutely wonderful to see the people out there and doing what they're doing. And it's every Saturday that if there's anyone that's watching on here tonight that's from the Glasgow or surrounding areas as well, it's every Saturday that we're out 12 o'clock on George Square in Glasgow as well. But this week is obviously a little bit of a change, and then down to George Square because of the march that we're doing. But yeah, so hopefully that gets a bit more awareness out there. Hopefully we can wake a few more people up, and there's going to be some amazing speakers there. Sandy knows more about the speakers than me that are going to be there for the weekend. Also, then the following weekend, we have the demo on George Square on the 26th, and then on the 27th, we have Sandy and Jane and the Quarrier Warriors Remembrance service. So we'd like as many people that can get to that as well to get there in support of Sandy and Jane as well, because that's something that they've been doing ever since they've been there. And obviously they're fighting for a lot of things to get changed at Quarriers and things to be put in place that should be put in place. And I think everyone needs to get behind this and support all these amazing people, because they're all true warriors, and my hat goes off to each and every single one of the ones that I'm on with tonight as well, for
Thank
being
you.
so strong and being able to open up and talk about things, and for their part in the movement as well. They are all amazing people, and we need to get behind these people 1,000%.
Well said, Daz.
Thank
It was
you,
strange
yeah.
because when I was talking to Jane last week, it was Monday's show, wasn't it, Sandy?
Yeah.
Last Monday's show, and Jane and Sandy came on, and Jane wanted to tell a bit more about her story. And Jane, listening to Jane's story, which she's been on before, and she told about a story and about the desire to baby thing, and she had me in tears.
Yeah.
Absolutely had me in tears at the end, and yeah, I lost it, didn't I, Sandy, at the end?
Yeah. Even yet, I mean, Jane so bravely, for the first time, in front of a crowd, a live crowd in Glasgow, told part of her story. And again, I mean, it was unbelievable. And I even shed a tear there. Again, every time I hear Jane's story, it's just so bloody horrific. You know, every child, and I vow that, as I say, there are 174 of us. Most of them will not speak out. So far, there's only 3 of us that speaks out. Sorry, out of the 174 of us, there's only 3 speaks out. I can fully understand why, because I know everyone's story, and the stories are horrific. Some not as bad, some really, really bad, and some horrific stories. Some of them are worse than Jane's, as a matter of fact. But to me, Jane's the worst that I know of. But there's other ones, things that was done to them. And I would never say, all I'll say is they're worse. But I know everyone's stories. We never.
Dan, let me come in a sec. I went when I did that Melanie Shaw one. Melanie Shaw hadn't seen fireworks for many years, so I was asked if I'd like to come, and I got invited to Rampton, where there was a Melanie Shaw rally, and it was fantastic. It was the first time I'd actually spoken in front of an audience. I've done bits and pieces and interviews with John Wedger in that. And I've done a few other bits and pieces with other people, but it was the first time I spoke in front, and it was a huge audience to actually do a first talk, and it was quite nerve-wracking. You know, you really, really need to have your wits about you, because you know, all the eyes are focused on you. Everybody's looking at you, and it was quite daunting. And I actually broke down and cried there, and there was men and women crying as well. And I couldn't believe grown men were crying at, my story when I was telling it. And from there, I met some fantastic people like Jimmy, absolute legend, and Glenn, and all the Patriots, and the Ritas and the John Lawrences, and I could go on forever. John Peakeys, many fantastic people that I've met, and we've just gone. We've more or less come together, and we're all looking for the same thing, and we're all on answers to this, and that's why it's good that we're all coming together and bringing you on as well, Sandy, to get the Scottish side of things as well, because it's so harsh that what happened in Scotland as well. We've heard the Blair Brothers story from Kencor, and how horrific that was. And then I listened to you, and I've listened to you speak in London as well, and your story was quite emotional for me. It's just amazing that we need to come together. The masses need to come together. It's okay having all these small demonstrations, but in some respects, we need millions of us to come together, storm Parliament, take over Parliament, and turn around and say, "Now do something."
Yeah. Well, the thing is here as well, there's a lot of people that's unemployed. Many people all throughout the UK, especially people that's been abused and stuff. They can't even, they're affected that. Love to come to rallies, would love to go, but money is precious. And the other night there, just after the show, I stood on and stayed on, and it was a guy I'd heard of him but never met.
You talking about Lee?
Pardon?
Was you talking about Lee?
And to me, it's come up with a good idea. And if this is worked right, this could be amazing. It could be really amazing. And he's talking about a punt. He's talking about £1 per month to donate it. And that money will be used to get buses to travel from Scotland to London, from London to Scotland, from Scotland to Manchester, from London to Manchester. Put on buses, bring the victims, the warriors, the survivors, bring us all together. That's what is, to me, that's a fantastic idea. And if this is what's right, I will support that, definitely.
Definitely.
I think it could be an amazing thing, because you're travelling with friends.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And everyone is, we know each other's stories. I know you know mine. And it's getting out there now. But I must say, and the thing is there people, and I mean, as I was talking about, they're very near, is it 8,000, 8,000, something like that, I think you said there. We're hitting the 5,000 just now. And out of them, especially on our side, Warriors. Oh, Sandy Jane, yous are amazing. See what yous do. Yous are great, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we like a bit of praise. But I'm no warrior. Now you're saying we are only two people doing what we think's right. We know the effects child abuse has in our lives, so we try to protect others. And we go out on the street to let our voices be heard, to educate people, to let them understand how it is to be abused. Now, the recent figures showed that 1 in 4 children in the UK will be abused by the time they're 16. And I put that on my Facebook site one night. And I had a brilliant discussion with this fella. And he goes, "It'll never ever happen to my child." He goes, I goes, "How's that?" He goes, "I make sure my child's all right." Okay, great, he does that. So I says to him, I goes, "Your son got youth clubs are in?" "Ah, yeah," he goes, "I goes, "Does he go on his own round to friend's house?" "Yeah." "Done everything like that. Go to school?" "Yeah." I goes, "Tell me, what like does a paedophile look like?" He goes, "You describe that to me." He asked me what I meant. I goes, well, you tell me, how does a paedophile look like? How do you know that your next door neighbour, your kid's school teacher, the guys at the youth club he goes to, all the people where he's away from you, do you know for 100%? He goes, yeah, I know at school. He goes, it's, they go through the disclosure thing. Now, that disclosure thing, you go to the police, anybody can get that. If you're no record, you can go to the police and get this bit of paper to say you're safe around children. Now, that piece of paper you're given is only a piece of paper to say, I've not been caught.
Mm.
Mhm.
Now, I know of a school teacher in Dundee, and Jane was talking about this at the weekend there. And this man was abusing children at school. He had a bit of paper to say, I'm okay. This man was told he was not allowed near his own children. He was that much of a bloody risk. Jane had to go into hospital every 3 months. Jane's got heart problems. So she had to go in and be wired onto this machine for 12 hours a day for 5 days. So she was in actually 6 days in the hospital. She wasn't allowed home because of what was going on with her. And during that time, there were a woman come up from Jane's church and, oh, Jane, I've not seen you at church, blah, 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 whatnot. And Jane told her, she goes, no, I'm not going back. Well, why not? And Jane mentioned about this guy because what was it he done at church? I'm sorry, I've got to ask
He
you.
ran the prayer group.
Aye, he ran the prayer group at the church, this man.
that I went to.
And Jane was saying, well, about him. And this woman turned around and goes, yeah, but most of these children that he was, at school with and stuff, he goes, some of them are orphan children. He goes, and you know what like they are, right? This is true. She goes, you know what like they are? Strays and castaways that nobody wants. Now that's to a girl. His life was destroyed. Total destroyed. Big time destroyed. And that woman had the bloody cheek to say that.
It's funny actually you should say that because I remember when I first met Kath, I came back to Lincolnshire from London because if I hadn't met Kath, I think I would have gone probably, I don't know, just carried on drinking and I think I would just gone off the rails because I was very confused right up until for my first 25 years of my life were non-existent and very confusing. And I got myself into all sorts of trouble. And like I said to you, I used to put a brick through a window just to get a night's kip in police cells. And, I've slept in parks and on benches, bus shelters, as stations where you used to have stations used to be a main attraction for soup kitchens. When I was young, there used to be one at Waterloo. I remember the one at Waterloo very, very. I remember that one because I used to go there. It was always hot soup. You got a lovely hot cup of soup, and they give you a bread roll and stuff like that. And it was something that I never had. Something was better than nothing. And I lost so much weight because I got really down in it. But if I hadn't met Kath, and then when I came up here, I managed to get several different jobs. And I applied for a job as a caretaker at a primary school. And they said to me, you've got to go through this barring in disclosure services, and they got to check on your record. And then I said to the head teacher, I better be truthful with you and tell you now that I've been a naughty boy and I've been in every prison in London. I've done some silly things in my time for drink. and done some really, really bad things and stupid things, more criminal damage and things like that, than hurting any person or abusing any other person. I've never done anything in that manner, sexually or anything like that. And I sat there and I spilled the beans to this head teacher who was interviewing me, and I thought, there's no way I was going to get this job. And then a few days later, or 4 days later, I got this phone call. He said, "You've got a job." And I stayed in that job for 15 years, and I loved it. And I had a great rapport with the kids, because it's like being both sides of the garden fence. You know, you know what it's like to be in an institution, and you know what it's like working as, you know, a member of staff in an institution. And for the staff to call me Mr. Merritt, you don't have to call me Mr. Merritt, you know. And sometimes, because later on in life, when I came up this end, I was asked to go and work back in another school because of my experiences. Because I did grounds work and stuff like that, and I asked me if they could do the repairs and maintenance, because I've got a plumbing background as well. And I was asked to go back into school, and this was a secondary school. But the head teacher said, "Why do the kids have? Why do you have such a good rapport with the kids?" And I said to him, "You've got to come down to their level sometimes. You know, they're human beings as well, and you're not going to be a disciplinarian with them all the time, because they hate that. You know, and they will react to it. Doesn't matter what circumstances, whether they've been a little bugger or not, they will react." And he said, "Well, what's all this thing about George? The kids call you George." I said, "When I first started and they asked me my name, I said to them, I didn't want to tell them it was Alan. So I made up a name, George. And everybody used to call me George. And the name's George stuck. All right, George, all right." So they didn't have to call me sir. They didn't have to call me Mr. They didn't have to call me, they called me George. That was fine, because it wasn't even my real name. And do you know what? I see kids today, and they still put their thumb up. "All right, George."
Yeah. Well, I'm going to come in here if you don't mind. Don't tell Sue your name's George. She'll have you make D.
She does anyway.
Excuse me, just wait till I get up to Scotland, mate. You're in for so much. It's unbelievable what you're going to go through. So just be warned, okay?
Who's the tea boy at Parliament, Sue?
Alan, he's tea boy.
He makes me get in and makes the tea when we're outside Parliament.
Yeah, I take the big 5-litre flask, and he's there. But I'll tell you something, Sandy. I've got coffee on its way in here now.
I know. Who made it?
George.
Right.
But I just wanted to say something. You know,
Listen, just for us. Now, George is Sue's grandson. And all I hear from him, all I hear is, when I'm talking to Sue, we speak every day, and all I hear is, "George, George."
sometimes I phone him.
What is it? What is it now? Make me a coffee.
He's a good lad, though. I mean, he's hot. He's got hot gold.
Yeah.
He's nearly 21 years old. He ain't a kid, you know. But I just wanted to say, you know, like we was talking about growing up and being abused. When I had my daughters, I swore I was never going to let anyone touch them. And thank God they didn't. But when my grandchildren came along, it's a different story, you know, and I felt guilty because I couldn't protect them, you know, and that plays on my mind. That I have protected them since, because I've got custody of 3 of them. But the guilt on me I just can't forgive myself for not being there sooner for them.
If I can come in a wee minute, and this is a question to us, and this is something I want to try and find out. You were saying there, you know your mother. You know, how today, not knowing that you never knew your mother through your life, how does that sort of affect you? You know, because it's like Jane didn't know her mother. She doesn't know, and they're quite, oh, I don't know
I
what's
guess,
up.
I guess in a way for me, not knowing who my mum or my dad is, I've always been having that battle in my own mind because I don't normally, very rarely can find it in myself to talk to anyone and open up about it because it's like I'm always, what if, what did happen, why did this happen?
Mhm.
It's like, why have I been able to have been given only so little bit of information and then be told, and then I was speaking to my adoptive mum this morning to try and get a bit more information on it, and then she turns around this morning and was like, oh, the only way that if you want to try and find her and speak to her about things and get your answers is you need to go and apply and pay to apply to the adoptive services to be able to even try and make any sort of contact with this lady to get my answers. And I'm like thinking to myself, why do I need to pay to be able to try and contact my own birth mother and speak to her to get the answers I want? And I'm like, so it's like all the time in my head, it's like, what if, what happened? Did anything happen? If anything did happen, who was it that's done this? Because it's never been, I've never had my dad on the birth certificate, but then I'm being told, oh, it was because she was doing this, it's because she was doing that, and because she suffered this and she suffered that. And then it's like, I get that she went through, obviously she went through getting abused by her own father and her own brother-in-law, and then they're saying, but it might have been the case that you don't have your dad on your birth certificate, because then she started going out and selling herself because that's all she knew. And then it's like, but can I not just get the honesty from her?
Yeah.
Can she not give me my closure to what went on and why she didn't take to looking after me when she had me?
Mhm. And do you want to sort of find your mother in that?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. And somebody
Yeah.
today actually has managed to trace 2 possible addresses for her for me today.
Let me know how you got on with that. Okay.
Yeah, I will do, definitely.
But I don't know about you, Az, but me and Sue can vouch for this, that our childhood was a loveless society. It was, we weren't given any of, we were put in harm's way. That's what I've always said. They had a duty of care for us while we were children under their jurisdiction, whether they were guardians or whatever they want to be called. They had a duty of care for us, and I will always use that same term. And they put us in harm's way. And these people were professional carers. They were abusers of children, mental, physical, sexual, deviance, torture, and everything that you can throw at a child. These people did to you, and it was, as much as you tried to fight them. You have to remember, you was a child, and you know it was hard, very hard to try and have a childhood, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you had to grow up quick.
I think
Yeah.
I think that annoys me is up here in Scotland, we've got a thing called Future Pathways. That's government funded, okay, yeah. But if we can go to Future Pathways and they will pay for everything. Now, I had two elder brothers who I knew I had. My father never spoke because my two elder brothers, one was only 4 months old when he passed away. It was a cot death. My mother found him. And my brother, that was my brother John. And my brother Joseph, he was 10 years older than I. 10 years and a month older than myself. And he suffered from epilepsy and went in a fit one night and he didn't regain consciousness. All I know was there were two tubs, one hot water and cold, and they were moving them. That's all I knew. From one tub to the other, trying to bring them around. Didn't know anything else. It wasn't after my mother's death. And I don't know if I done the wrong thing or the right thing, but I asked my father about my brothers. And I seen my father's eyes filling with tears. Now, my father was my hero. He was everything. In a certain way, I was a lucky guy because I had a father and mother who loved me. But I seen my father's eyes filling up with tears. And he told me that my brother Joseph was laid to rest in Ochtertyre in Perthshire. My father told me that I had to go and visit this blacksmith. He goes, his name's Sandy. Oh God, I can't remember his second name, but it was Sandy Marshall. I had to go to Ochtertyre, find Sandy Marshall, and he would tell me where my brother Joseph was. He goes, your brother John, and he broke down big time. I goes, enough. He goes, I'll find him. He goes, he's buried in Stirlingshire. That's all I had to go with. Not long after that, my father passed away. And I started looking for my brother's graves. I knew they were unmarked graves. I wanted to put headstones on my brother's graves. I vowed I would do this before I pass away. And I searched for over 40 years, spending many, many weekends. I did visit Sandy Marshall, and it was his wife, Chrissy, told me. Now, I'm named after a Sandy Marshall and also my great-grandfather. But anyway, I introduced myself to Sandy Marshall, and what a welcome I got. He was asking how my father was. My father hadn't seen him in years. So I started talking. And they told me it was this graveyard called Lower Quog. And I went there. They told me when I go in the main gate, at the wall, it was take about 15 middle-sized steps.
Mm-hmm.
And on the right-hand side, you'll see your brother's grave. That's where he is. Now, I went into that graveyard, I done what I was told, and before I got to my brother's grave, you could see where the ground had sunk. And there was smoke off it. You knew it was. And I broke down big time that day. Big time. Because I found my brother's grave. So I tried to find out where my brother Joseph, where his death, where he was registered, and I tried everywhere and I couldn't get that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I searched and I searched and I searched for my brother John, and I found out, and it was by chance. Now, I was involved with the Children's Hospice Association Scotland, and I was a volunteer fundraiser, and I raised a lot of money for them, but that's another story for a rainy day. And I was invited up to the hospice in Kinross in Perthshire. And I went up that day, I visited it, and oh my God, what a place. Beautiful, beautiful. Absolutely. This is a place that you've got to see it to believe it. And they were building a new hospice down in Barloch, in Dunbartonshire. And I was raising funds to build this hospice. So anyway, we were coming back from Kinross, and my ex-wife at the time, I goes, do you want to go the scenic route or do you want to go down the motorway? She goes, why not go scenic route? So I was coming down all these country roads. And in Wallace Monument in Stirling, just before you get to it, there's a little village called Logie. Now, I passed this road many times when I had the lorries and stuff. I've been on that road many, many times. And I don't know what made me, but I looked over to my right and I seen this graveyard. And oh, there's a graveyard. I wonder, I knew it was in Stirlingshire, so I drove up. As I drove up, I sat in the country, there was a church, and on the church was Logie Kirk. And I remembered my dad talking about Logie Kirk. So that sparked, I went, I've got it. There were two houses. Now, these houses years ago, they were used for the grave diggers to stay in. And I thought maybe still they were there, so I went to the door to see if I could get information. But the houses had been sold over many years ago. So I come home, that was on a Sunday, and on Monday I phoned up Stirling District Council. And I said to them about the graveyard. I told them I was looking for my brother John. And they told me, he goes, oh, you're just in luck. He goes, we'll put everything onto computer. And it was an amazing woman I spoke with. And she goes, right, hold on. She typed in. She goes, we've got 5, I think it was 5 John Smiths buried in here. She goes, give us a minute. She goes, we've got one that was 35 years of age. I went, no. I goes, this was a child. Now, I thought my brother would be about 2, right? If you know. So I goes, no, it's 2. And she went, hold on. She goes, we've got a child here. He goes, he was only 4 months. He died on the 1st of April, 1937. Right, my brother John, he died on the 1st of April, 1937, and was laid to rest on the 2nd of April, 1937, the day after his death. And I was might know about that. She goes, could you give me any information I could sort of help? I goes, well, my father's name was Andrew Smith. She goes, well, it was an Andrew Smith. It's on the death certificate. I registered the death. He goes, he worked on a farm. He goes, Powis Mains Farm. I went, oh my God, that's that. I remember that name. I goes, I've got it. So, just to make sure I was 100% correct, I went to Logie Kirk, or Logie, the village, and I went to the farm. And I tapped the door. And there's a young man that come out. And his name was Kenny Logan. Now, I don't know if you like rugby, but Kenny Logan played for Scotland. And I had a great conversation with that man. And he told me, he goes, no, he goes, well, before my time, he goes, but I've got a nan that might know him. He goes, give me a minute. So when I went in and phoned this woman, and I waited about a quarter of an hour, and this woman came along. And God, she gave me this big hug. I'd never met her. And she went, oh, it's lovely to meet you. She knew my father. She bloody knew my father. And she told me, yeah, that's where my brother was. So I had my 2 brothers, I knew where they were. But the plots, because it was a long time, I had to buy them back to put them into my family name. I bought the plots back and I contacted Future Pathways. and it was Future Pathways that actually helped me find. Sorry, they helped me to find my brother Joseph, where his death had been registered, everything that I needed. So I bought that back as well. And there was a wee girl, Michelle, that was helping me, and I told her, I goes, I've bought them back. She goes, right, go out and order headstones. I goes, oh, you better. She goes, give me the bill. And Future Pathways paid for my brother's headstones and for them to be put in place. They've got us so much, but down in London, down, well, south of the border, you have not got anything like that. We can go to them and anything we want, we can get. So they helped me to get my brother's grave. And it's like, who as was saying there, he's got to pay. That's wrong. That's so wrong. And any child who was in care, why the hell have you got to pay to find out who the hell you are? I can't understand.
I found that because, like you're saying that, why do we have to prove who and what happened to us in care? They should have records of us. And this is the old chestnut that we keep coming across, that the records get destroyed, burnt, lost, and various misplaced, or whatever the case might be. And this comes across in nearly every single children's home right across the country, where records are misplaced, lost, burnt, or thing. And it's strange as well, because in Beechholme, when I was in Beechholme, my two sisters and my brother, Frank, all of them, all four of us got abused in Beechholme. All of us. My two sisters, Anne and Margie, both got abused in Beechholme. And Margie, believe it or not, on the day she left Beechholme, she was taken up to Banstead Station, and for safekeeping, they said to the driver, because where you came down the stairs at Banstead Station, it was more or less near where the cab driver stopped the train. So the member of staff that was with us said, can this young girl is going to Car Short or where it was, just ride up in the cab with you for safe journey. And that's train driver abused my sister in the cab. So not only did she get abuse in Beechholme, she got abused by a person that they thought she would be safe with, rather than being in a lone carriage on her own. She was abused in the cab by the train driver. And Margie never, ever spoke about it. Margie never, ever said anything about it. My brother Frank turned into a nasty piece of work, and Sue will say Frank in the brother's same house as her brother. Go on, Sue, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just that, you know, like your family all got abused, so did all mine. You know, I had twin brothers that were younger than me. I had an older brother who was in the same house as Frank, and we never ever spoke about it. I never told them what happened to me. It wasn't until everything came out that what we was doing, one of the twin brothers came forward. The other twin didn't want to. My older brother, he's very strange. He didn't tell people that our mum died, you know, even his girlfriends. One of them never knew for 5 years that she'd died. So he keeps everything to himself. And he actually started talking to my sister-in-law about it. And she broke down, he broke down, and she phoned me. And then he got on the phone and he started telling me a few things about what happened to him. And which I knew it had happened to him, but it was just something you didn't talk about to your family. But he can't go ahead with nothing now either. To him, you know, he says to me, why don't you just leave it where it is, you know, back then, don't carry on with it. But I want it. It's not about money to me. It's about getting justice for them to admit that what they allowed to happen to us happened, and for us to stop it from happening to other children. That's what I'm about. It's not about me. It's about not my grandchildren, they're all grown up now, but about my great granddaughters, you know, to stop it happening to them. You know, when you look at them and I think, oh my God, please don't let anyone hurt my great grandchildren, don't hurt my girls. You know, but you can only do so much. And if we don't fight, then we might as well just give all our children to them paedophiles because they've won and we can't allow them to win.
Did I tell you, Sandy, that did I tell you about my brother Frank was a very, very aggressive. Beechholme made Frank a very, very aggressive guy. He had a nickname when he was in Beechholme because he used to be a bit of a street fighter down in Epsom. And they used to call him Frankie Abbott. And he was a bit of a street fighter.
Right.
Did you know when Lee?
Hi everyone, how you doing? Can you see us okay?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Lee.
Brilliant.
And because Lee's show runs on, we'll be running straight onto Lee's show. And hang on a bit, I'll come to you in a second. Frank took his anger and his aggression out in karate. And I don't know if I've never told you this, Sandy, that Frank went on to be a black belt 8th Dan in karate, and he fought in the British championships for this country as in his karate. But he was so aggressive, he would sooner punch you than shake hands with you. Beechholme really affected Frank mentally and made him very, very angry young man and very aggressive. He never liked authority or anything. His house father, Pete McTavish, when I was in Laburnum and the abusers of Race Robinson and Audrey Wilson, all my abusers, they couldn't handle us as I was starting to get a little bit older. They called for the house parent, which was my brother's house father, to give me a good hiding because they were getting to the stage where now I was starting to fight back.
Well, you know, see that where I say, do you know, have you got any brothers, sisters?
Yeah, I've got two younger sisters and a younger sister, and then I've got a half sister and a half brother. The only bit of information I know on that is my half sister works at the local football club I go and watch play, but that is all I know about her. I've been told she has a job at my local football team that I support.
As are you still in Preston or are you in Scotland now?
I'm now in Scotland.
Did you say you were Scotland? You made Scotland your home?
Yeah, Scotland's basically my home now, and it's, I guess, in a way, it's bettered my life, so to speak, because I'm out the way of the temptations of the trouble I used to get into because of the crowd I was mixing with, being in all these different hostels throughout my few years. So it's thankfully
You look
now.
so much happier than present times, like when I seen you up Scotland.
Yeah, definitely.
You look much better. You seem in a much better place.
He's done very well tonight because when he first started speaking, he spoke very, very eloquently and he spoke very, very clearly. I mean, he comes across as a very precise and sound guy.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of respect there.
I just want to say, I'm sorry, but I thought you was a girl at first. It was only
It's all right. Don't worry about it, sir.
Sandy told me you was a bloke.
No, you're as bad as Jane, women. You get mixed up. You know.
No, I don't. I wasn't sure. No, don't even go. You have just got to be quiet, mate. Because remember, I'm in Scotland on Friday, and God help you when I get there. And as for you, you'll be up there on the 25th, and I'll get you an all, Ellen. So there you go. You're in for it and all.
No, I'm not.
That's you too, told.
Yeah, well, she always does that. She shouts her grandson and shouts him to make her a cup of coffee and that. And then when we're outside Parliament, she uses me as the tea boy.
That's right.
That's
I'm out
ridiculous.
there talking. I can't do everything. You know, I can't be out there talking to the people and making tea, can I?
God, the more
I'm
you
doing
get
the
people,
lives.
you
I'm
say, the
normally
worse you
doing.
get.
But
I'm
just
doing
remember,
with John, or I'm doing a filming it myself, because I've done, when John's not been with us, I've done all the filming.
yeah,
Mm.
you have there, but you know, but just remember you're in the same hotel as me. So when I want a cup of tea, I will be phoning you, Alan, tea. All right, just
You know
remember
what I've got
that.
up with, Lee?
Oh,
Lee, see what I've got to put up with.
Mate, Alan, you deserve it.
Thank you very much.
Do you know what for? For the cheek you were giving me the other day when you were calling me, I forgot what you were calling us. You called us something.
Yeah. See, I'll make you
just like
suffer. And
Great.
Andy knows he's going to suffer too. He already knows.
You're going to have a full day, Sandy, isn't you? Because you've got to pick me up from the station at what, 2:20 or something?
yeah.
The George's rally starts at 2 o'clock, doesn't it?
Yeah, we start at 2. It's only around the corner. I mean, it's so far. You know,
Yeah,
so
it's literally
Yes,
about a
why don't
5 minute
you walk?
walk.
you know,
Yeah,
so
5-minute walk.
Do you want me to walk there, Sandy?
no, we'll come round and meet you and bring you up. It's always nice to do that, you know. So, but the time that the girls and that and they've all sort of settled in and had their wee chat and whatnot. I mean, as I'll be back up there speaking, I asked him today. When As goes up there, my God, he can draw a crowd. I watched him on Saturday there, and honest Alan, for a young boy and for his first time ever to come out and speak like that, by God,
Yeah.
he got it through. He got it through. He got it through. You know, and this is what we're needing up here, is more young people to get out and get on with it. It's a privilege and pleasure to have met 3 young kids like that, as I would say. You know, do what they do. And I mean, you'll hear about what they do. You've only had a wee part of it tonight. I mean, my God almighty, the campaigns they're doing now,
Yeah.
you know, it's
Well, as is good, because you've often said this, Sandy. You've often turned around and said, we need the youngsters to come forward and start doing some of this stuff. We don't need these keyboard warriors. We need people to get their boots on the ground and get out there on the streets.
Yeah.
You've often said that. We've only got a few minutes left, guys. So what I'm going to say to you is, like, Lee's show starts at 7:30, and in respect for Lee, I don't really want to run too much into Lee's show because it's his slot now, and we've had our slot.
Yeah,
But what I'm going to say to you is, I'm going to give you all a few minutes each, and then Lee can take over from us then. As you want to say final few things before we have to go off?
All I want to say is just thank you for allowing me to come on here tonight and have my say. And also, please, 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 I'm begging every single one of you out there, even if you don't think you need to, please check your children's devices and any sort of things that connect to the internet, because it takes 2 minutes for somebody to start grooming your child, whereas it takes you a quick 5 minutes a day to check that device and make sure that your child's safe, because the safeguarding does start at home to start with.
Yeah. I just want to say it's lovely to talk to you as a face to face, and Lee. And as for you, Sandy, I'm up there for 2 weeks. Just remember that, mate. Okay.
I remember that. I know hundreds of back roads up here where we can drop you off.
You got to get past me first, love. Just
Right.
remember.
What I'm going to do as well, so let Lee come in as well, because Lee is, I have a lot of respect for Lee, because I've watched him on quite a few times, and sometimes.
Yeah, I love Lee as well.
And
Lee's awesome.
Fantastic.
Thank you, guys.
Fantastic campaigner, and
Right.
what he does, you know, he goes without sometimes to do what he does, and he's a fantastic campaigner. And he was doing this thing with his the school teaching. He was doing this thing with this you know, this temperature gauge where they were pointing it at children's heads. and it's a grade 1 laser in it, Lee.
Yeah. Class 1 laser. So
Child,
they-
can you?
that's against the law to point a laser on anyone's face. So I don't understand how they've just automatically started telling teachers to point lasers in kids' faces. The thing was, the teachers, I didn't have a go at them. I wrote a very nice letter to them, and I just advised them, telling them that I know yous look out for children, and if yous look into this, yous will realise that I'm right on the matter. And you know what? I'm up to 67 schools and counting.
Oh,
I've changed
wow.
since I got my letter. 67
Brilliant.
schools. Just the other day, it was on. I was on, what was it? About 34 something on Friday, and just on today, I've heard from that many schools. So got up to 67.
I actually, because of what you put up there, my great granddaughter's at nursery, and I said to my granddaughter, if they want to take her temperature, you tell them to do it in the ear. Do not use the laser.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah,
So
but the wrist's the best place to take it. You get a better reading from there. You get a better reading, and it's much safer. Totally away from the head. Totally away. The thing was with it is that people are saying they're not that powerful to actually put someone's eye straight away. We'd have to put it, but children move around a lot. Do you know? There's adults. We can say, right, this is a laser. Stay still, but you can't say that to a child. They don't know. You know, they just jump all over the place, and that catches your child's eye. You know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to risk it.
No, I mean, we've got it. You go in the amusement arcades and you just got these young boys doing it, you know.
Well,
And,
do
you know what?
when we was at Nottingham? So when we was at Nottingham and we went into the Indian restaurant,
Yeah.
there was an untrained girl, one of the staff, just pointing this laser gun at our heads, wasn't she?
Yeah.
She was pointing at her own face.
Yeah.
And do you know what the worst thing about it is? If it was if you could 100% pick up what they're on about, but this is from the government website.
Thank you, darling.
Can you read that? I don't read it out.
And it'd be easier if you read it out.
I'll read it out. Well, this is from the government website on coronavirus. Don't rely on temperature screening products for detection of coronavirus. So, go ahead, Tony.
Does anyone on here tonight actually know what a laser can do to your brain?
You can fry it.
Damages the pineal gland.
So,
Yeah, can you imagine that though, that pineal gland in a child?
Not even fully developed child. Small little head.
yeah, well, that's my point there, Lee. Is we know that. That's the only sort of things we know. What else do they know it can do to a kid? What the hell are they doing with our children here in the UK? We've got to come strong, get off our asses and get out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to do this.
You know,
Definitely.
I mean, as you all know, they've heard about our demo on the 24th of October, and they are now putting us in lockdown on the 21st of October.
Yeah.
So they want to stop the demo, which we will still go ahead, but it depends, because if they put us on lockdown, we're going to have no transport.
Yeah, well, they're starting today, and she's coming out with new laws for Glasgow city centre because of the corona. No, and she's got the bloody cheek to say in the same breath, but nobody's died recently of it in Glasgow. Well, if nobody's bloody died yet, why the hell is she going to put more sanctions in Glasgow?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Guys, I've got to turn around and say to it's Lee's show now, so I'm going to love you all, and it's down to Lee now to let him take over and run his show.
Okay.
Thank you, Lee, for letting us stay on a few minutes longer.
Yeah.
And
No
much
problem.
respect to you, brother. And
It's just gone 9:30, man. It's all right. There's
you
no
do
rush.
great
No
work,
rush.
mate. If there's anything you ever need, Lee, you've only got to give us a shout, mate.
Thank you so much, all of you.